I had the privilege of working on a daily basis with Roger for more than 25 years. As a child, I have vivid recollections accompanying my parents driving on Highway 10. And as close as I ever got to St. Cloud was driving past the penitentiary. Who could imagine that I would find a home here as well? For everything, there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Today is a time for reflection. When I look out, I am cascaded with memories. Take the time today and share them. When I drove up in 77 to interview with Roger, the freeway ended at St. Cloud. Over the 30 years of his service to Stearns County, the changes in the landscape in every imaginable way have been amazing. And this man guided the county with his calm demeanor at the right pace. He was a terrific attorney. He was a wonderful person to work for because he let his people do their jobs. He expected and would not settle for less than each of us representing his office with the public and with other representatives of government. And that was the time of his profession. He left accomplishments that I know he was very proud of, but he never wore pride on his sleeve. Then there's another time. When I learned of his passing, sadness washed over me, but then the memories. And the first memory, each fall, usually late September, I would look up and see him standing in the doorway of my office. And Roger wasn't a person to say a whole lot, so I listened. And he would say, "I hear the fish are biting." And so that day or the next, off we'd go. Sometimes he and I alone. Sometimes Joyce went along. A few times we took my two sons along. And it was interesting that that should be the first memory that came to me. When we texted my son Jeffrey, that was his. There was a time for fishing and a season to tour with me. He did it with many others. And you acquire, over time, more fish than a person can eat themselves. And so there would be a time for fishing. a bunch of folks here who went to at least one of those. And they were all. I remember vividly, Brown Princip would bring his deep fry over. And after appropriately beer battering fish, the line would begin to form because people did not even let them sit on the plate very long. They were doing with the hot fish. And I have a vivid recollection that my wife Shirley shared with me about one time at a fish fry. Catherine Kolshanin was encouraged to call her father to bring his concertina. And we livened up the party with polka music and dancing. Roger also made time for his family. And it was fun to watch every direction. And his outrageous humor, which one particular member of the family appears to have gotten infected with much more than others. And that's a wonderful. And then, of course, the longest season for Roger was his dear wife. On behalf of all of us who came home late, or sometimes not at all, who missed an event, on behalf of all of us, we love you. Thank you.
Joyce tells me that before Roger died, she asked, "What would you like?" And he said, "A little Dixie." And this is the River City Jazz Band.
Yeah.
That he's played with for over 40 years. We miss him. He also said, if anybody's going to say anything, tell him to keep it short.
Your story.
Pat, you did that. I'll try to do the same. I'd like to just recount some of the musical memories we've had with Roger. And I wrote a few notes because I've reached the age where if I don't write things down, they don't exist. Roger and I started out in elementary school, St. Boniface at Melrose. One day, the band director from the high school came over and he wanted to know if anybody wanted to join the band. Roger said, "Are you going to join the band?" I said, "I suppose." You know, I had relatives who were musicians, and Roger said, "I think I should too." I said, "I think you should." So we went over. Fran Sullivan came over and he said, "What do you want to play?" And I said, "Well, I'll play clarinet. My uncle played clarinet." He looked at Roger and he said, "What do you want to play?" Roger said, "I don't know. I don't know anything about music." And he said, "I really could use a baritone." "Okay, I'll play baritone." But we laughed for many years later because Roger was a pretty husky fellow. We wondered what it would have looked like if he'd been playing piccolo. If the band needed a piccolo, he'd have played piccolo. We went on to high school at Melrose, and at noon, we would, those of us in band, we'd grab a quick bite to eat in the lunchroom and run down to the music room and pull out our horns, or what we did early is Fran Sullivan had an an LP. It was entitled Louie's Dixie. Louis Armstrong and Jack Teagard played trombone. We used to sit and listen to that. Finally, Roger said, but we should try playing something like that. So we sent away to Terminal Music in New York and got a few Dixie arrangements. And they called for a trumpet, clarinet, and trombone. And Roger didn't play any of those. But he said, well, I'll just play the big trombone part of the baritone. And that's what we did for a while. Then one day he said, you know, maybe it would sound better if I played trombone. So now for a number of noon hours, he would borrow a trombone from somebody else in the band, and he'd practice on his own. He never took a music lesson on trombone, but he learned to play trombone, and so we had a jazz band going. We played through high school, played proms and homecomings, we played radio shows, joined the Musicians Union, and we were playing youth dances and getting material trust funds for some of you musicians, you know what that is. Those days when there was such a thing. We played a prom at Painesville. We were 17. Played a prom at Painesville, and we had a contract that says no alcoholic beverages allowed. Well, we're 17. But I announced it to everybody in the band. I said, don't do anything stupid because we have a contract. If anybody is drinking, they're not going to pay us. After the first set, I look around and Roger and the trumpet player are gone. I go out the building in the back, here's Roger the trumpet player, sipping on a half pint of brandy. I said, we're not going to get paid, we're going to get caught. Roger said, nah, we're not going to get caught. Beth was right, we did. You know, and work on the western part of the county, where prohibition never was a law, it was just a word. Through high school, Roger also sang. We were in a quartet together. And the Melrose Hospital was brand new, and they decided to have a dedication. Band director said, we want your quartet to sing. And I want you to sing this one song. It's an old, I don't know, one of the East Coast Ivy League schools called the Rhythm Blues song. And it goes, we're three little lambs who have lost our way, bye, bye, bye. Well, in the week for rehearsal before this, we're rehearsing and Roger decides to change the words. Here's the words. We're three little whiffin' poofers. Well, we broke down laughing. We couldn't sing that tune ever again. Impossible. We had a great time in high school. Roger left for the Navy, and when he came back from the Navy, went to St. Cloud State, picked up his bachelor's degree in music, and went to Bertha Hewitt for his first teaching assignment. And I was back in town after law school in the county attorney's office, and we were playing in a polka band together one night. He said, Roger, how do I get into law school? I said, why, don't you like music? Oh yeah, he said, I love music. But he said, I can't stand those squawking clarinets anymore. I said, that's it, I'm out of there. He finished up that year at Bertha Hewitt, went off to law school. Came back to the county attorney's office. Some years later, we got some musicians together again, and we were over at Newman Center. We were singing gospel tunes at Newman Center. And, you know, all kinds of tunes like, I mean, highly religious tunes like Turn the Radio On, Little Talk with Jesus. We got to Jesus Kicked Me Through the Goalposts of Life. That was a little too much. We said, that's a little there. But when we decided to do a Dixieland Mass before the Ash Wednesday, and we played a few tunes, and after it I said, Roger, what do you think? He said, this is too much fun to do in church. So we went out and we ended up playing. Musicians changed. I see Don Malloy was here. Don played with us for a number of years, many years. And we were playing 2-3 nights a week, and every Wednesday night we play at Antone's. And it was kind of funny. By that time I was on the district court, and we had some days where I was the judge, Roger was the prosecutor, and Dan Eller, who was the chief public defender, who was the drummer. We would argue and fight all day long, and we'd come to Antone's and we'd play, and the next day we'd go back to fighting again. That's how it was. We loved Roger's humor. He could do a mom, anybody, you're all too young to remember Mom's Baby, but he used to do a Mom's Baby imitation. You know, with her no teeth, the whole work, and we would just fall on the floor laughing, and he'd go on and on and on. And he'd have, during rehearsals, he'd have these pithy, non-reverent one-liners that would just break us up all the time. Well, Roger went on to play with many bands, and I see some of the band leaders out here. Al May's out here, and he played with Al May's band. He played with Dick Thomas band, Long Prairie, the Rock City Jazz, the Union Musicians band. Played with our Sizzlin' Swing, River City Jazz band. Oh, I'm going to miss a lot of them here. Well, then he played with a whole bunch of community bands. The Meyer Grove Band, the Cold Spring Community Band, the St. Cloud Municipal Band. I have to tell you this story. We went to China with the municipal band. Roger was a pretty husky guy then. The Chinese kids thought he was Buddha. He was a sensation there. Over the years, he's played with all kinds of musical groups. Old-time bands, Guild-style band. I see Ray Drontle's here, Ray Drontle's band. The Harlanders, Ronnie T. Schaefer, and I'm missing some others. Roger was not a musical snob. He had no pretenses. He played music because, in his words, I love to make music. Well, those are my memories. One other memory that sticks with me. All the years of rehearsals and band playing, I think I could count on one hand in those 40-plus years when Joyce wasn't there with him. Rehearsals, performances, dances, concerts, Joyce would come with him and would leave with him. In the last few years when he was struggling, we were playing big band gigs. Joyce would bring him in, help him on the stage, pick up his horn, take it, put it together, open up his music, and hand him the horn. And I'd count off, and Roger was there on the first beat. At the end of the night, she put the horn back in the case for him, helped him off the stand. About a year ago, he called me and he said, Roger, he said, time's come. I said, what's that? He said, it's time for you to find a new trombone player. I said, no, Roger, you're doing just fine. He said, no, he said, I can't hold the horn anymore. And that ended his musical career. The family's going to have some reflections. Then we're going to come back and I'm going to do the band's going to do our little New Orleans style send-off. Closer Walk with Thee and States March In.
Well, hello everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tina Van Her. Used to be Tina Van Heel. And as you probably all know, I'm very shy and have a hard time in front of crowds, and it makes me nervous when you laugh. You also probably know that I'm usually about a half hour late for everything and unprepared. Isn't that right, Uncle Don? Uncle Don is a man who took me in so I could play in a band like my father. I did share the love of music, although I can't play any sort of instrument. My big mouth is what got me. So like I said, I'm not prepared. I gotta tell you though, for those of you who don't know, Dad has been struggling for probably a year, close to a year, physically after taking a fall. And things changed for his life pretty drastically. More recently, he was in and out of nursing home and hospital and such, and he knew that his body was giving out on him. But damn it, if he didn't try to play that instrument till the very end. So when he was in the nursing homes and in and out of the hospital, we were lucky enough to have 3 incredible days He was unconscious for 3 days, and then he came back and was there and spoke to us. And we were able to say everything we needed to say to him and ask him questions that we needed the answers to. And we actually did speak about some of the things as far as the funeral or this is concerned. And Mom said that I would be saying a little something. And he looked at me and he said, "Keep it clean." That touched me. I've only said one curse word since I've been up here, so this is good. My dad, as you know, was a great man. He was an awesome father. And he was the love of my mom's life. He touched us all. I'd like to think that Roger had a little bit of him in all of you. Some of us a little bit more than others. Excuse me for a second. Really? Some of us got a little bit more than others. I want to thank you all for being here. I'd like to close. That's my dad's favorite limerick. There once was a man from Sparta who was an incredible farter. With the strength of one being, he do God Save the Queen and Beethoven's Midnight Sonata. Gonna miss you, Dad.
Well, I'll follow Dad's advice and keep it short. That was a true story. He said, whoever talks, make sure they don't sit up here and blab for hours. Nobody wants to hear that. You can probably tell by my boyish good looks, I am his son. And very blessed to call him my father. He taught me many things that are very important in life. And all done with love and encouragement and strength. I can think of a couple stories where people that know me know that I love to fly. And so when I was actually 14, I wanted to take flying lessons. Flying's kind of expensive when you start to fly and learn all that. And so he wanted to teach me the value of money. And so he said, tell you what, I'll buy one lesson, you buy the other. So I got to learn the value of money, and it wasn't just given to me. It wasn't that he couldn't afford to pay for flying lessons, but he was teaching me a valuable lesson. That same lesson was taught again when I was in the military. I was going through air assault school, kind of a physical training course. It's a couple-week course, and I needed a new pair of shoes, and I really wanted these real expensive shoes. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll buy the left, and you can buy the right, but there's one caveat, because when you're in air assault school, everywhere you run, when the left foot hits the ground, you yell air assault. He said, if I buy the right shoe, then I want to hear Mom and Dad. So he made air assault Mom and Dad, air assault Mom and Dad. So he was great for that. There were times when I disappointed him. Maybe didn't do the grades that I was capable of, or maybe didn't behave in such a way that that one would be proud of. He was always gentle to correct, let me know that he loved me, and it was just something I hope I could do to my family. So, Dad had a great love of fishing, and I know there's many people here that the first time they went fishing was with my dad. He loved to fish. Better yet, he loved to take other people fishing. He loved to take people that had never fished, get them all set up, they'd goof up and get their line all twisted up, and Dad would be the first one to take their line, say, take mine, or here's a fish, you catch it. And he got more pleasure out of watching other people catch fish than catching fish himself. And obviously the love of music. He absolutely loved music. It was a passion of his. It's something that really drove him, and until the very end, he loved it. We were in the hospital, and as Tina said, he was able to talk to us. And I asked him if he wanted to listen to a little music, and he said, put on a little Ray Charles. So off it came, and his hands came up, and he was kind of conducting and dancing and just having a good time. And it was really a special moment to have that with him. And as Tina said, we had those 3 days, and it was really a blessing to be able to spend that time with him. And I'll tell you that I was in the room when he passed. Very peaceful. It's the way we'd all want to go. But I just feel very blessed that we got that time with him. And that I'm comforted knowing that we'll see him again in heaven. And he's looking down at all of us. And he's very happy about this whole gathering of people and all the people that came together. So thank you very much for coming and sharing this time with us. Sorry, I'm up here slapping. I am actually happy. I'm happy he's gone. I'm happy he's not suffering. But just thanks to everybody who came on, shoulder support to the family, and have memories of him. The video that Tina and I made, we spent a little bit of time doing that. It's available on YouTube, so if you want to see it, there's a lot of you, many of you in those videos and pictures. The music's actually the Harlanders, and he's playing in that music, and Tina's actually singing some of the songs, so there's more to it than that. Anyway, thank you very much for coming out, and I know we have one more song, and thank you very much.
the walk to the cemetery. Nice and slow, taking into account what this was all about. This was a sad occasion, going to the cemetery with our brother. Getting to the cemetery, there would be a short ceremony. And after it, everyone recognizing that this is really a celebration of life. So we play the same number, but a little faster. And we'll go out with Saints Go Marching In.